The night was cold, the air filled with smoke. Ruins stretched across the land and the sky glowed with strange lights. It was not the sky of Earth anymore. It was filled with scars of war, lines of fire left behind by alien ships. Every street was broken. Every building was half destroyed. Silence covered the world, but behind the silence there was fear. A man walked slowly through the ruins, his boots hitting the broken stones. He was tall, his shoulders strong, but his face carried the weight of battles. He was a soldier, one of the last protectors of humankind. But he no longer fought in the open. He only searched, moved, and survived. His eyes were sharp, always scanning, as if danger could appear at any second. As he passed a corner, he heard a faint sound, a cry, soft at first, almost lost in the wind. He stopped. His hand moved to the weapon on his back, but then the sound came again, louder, trembling, the sound of a woman. Cautiously, he followed the voice, and there, hidden between fallen walls, he saw her. She was young, her clothes torn, her hair covered in dust, her face pale with fear. When she saw him, her eyes widened. She crawled forward and fell to her knees before him. Her hands trembled as she reached out. Her voice cracked. She sobbed, "I'll bear your offspring, just don't throw me out." The man froze, his heart pounding. Her words echoed in the empty street. Strange, shocking, desperate. He looked down at her, confused, anger rising in his chest, but also sorrow. He had seen many beg for food, beg for shelter, beg for life, but never like this. Never with such words. She bowed her head to the ground, tears dripping onto the dust. Her whole body shook as if she was ready to be cast aside, abandoned to die. Her words were not just begging, they were survival. She was offering the only thing she believed had value in this broken world. The man's eyes narrowed. He saw the bruises on her arms, the thinness of her body, the hopelessness in her soul. He clenched his fists. The memory of alien commands filled his mind. The invaders who demanded women for breeding. This was the cruel reality of Earth now, where women begged not to be discarded, where survival itself became a bargain. For a long moment he said nothing. The night wind blew between them. The sky hummed with distant alien engines. The woman kept crying, whispering the same words. "Please don't throw me out. I'll bear your offspring. I'll do whatever you want." Her voice cut deep into him, tearing the soldier's heart between rage and pity. Finally he spoke, his voice rough, low but steady. "Look at me," he said. Her head lifted slowly, her eyes red from crying, afraid to meet his gaze. The man studied her. There was pain in her eyes, but also a small spark, a spark of life. He breathed deeply, then spoke again. "Stay with me." The words fell heavy in the air, not a promise, not comfort, but not rejection either. Her lips parted in shock, her tears still falling. She searched his face, trying to understand. Stay with him. What did he mean? Why did he accept her when he could have walked away? The soldier turned, his gaze fixed on the darkness beyond the ruins, his hand rested on his weapon. "Get up," he ordered. "We cannot stay here. It is not safe." She stood slowly, her legs weak, but she followed him. Her heart beat fast, half afraid, half relieved, her mind still hearing his words. "Stay with me." They moved through the ruins. Shadows stretched long under the broken moonlight. Every sound in the night made her jump. Every distant echo felt like danger. But he walked with calm steps, his presence strong, a shield between her and the unknown. She did not know who he was. She did not know if she could trust him. But in this broken world, trust was a luxury, and she had no choice. She only knew one thing. He had not left her behind. And that was enough for now. Behind them, the ruins remained silent, but unseen eyes watched from the darkness. The night carried secrets, and the choice he had made, the simple words, "Stay with me," would soon change everything. Not just for her, but for the future of all humankind. The road stretched ahead, broken concrete scattered with ash. The man walked with steady steps. The woman followed close behind, her breathing quick, her eyes darting at every sound. The silence of the ruins pressed down on them, broken only by the hum of alien machines far above. Sometimes the sky itself flickered as if fire was hidden behind the clouds. The soldier did not speak, his jaw tight, his mind heavy with thoughts. He had said the words without planning. "Stay with me." But the moment they left his mouth, his heart became restless. Why had he said it? Why had he chosen to keep her? When survival demanded he move alone, every extra life meant extra risk. One mistake, one sound too loud, and both would be caught. Still, something in her voice, in her begging, had pierced through his armor. He told himself it was pity, but deep inside he knew it was more. The woman walked behind him, her steps weak but determined. She tried to keep her distance, afraid to anger him, yet she could not help but watch him. His back was straight, his shoulders wide, every move sharp, trained. He was not like the others. She had seen, not like those who sold or abandoned. There was something different in the way he moved. But she did not know if that difference would save her or destroy her. They reached a collapsed building. The man raised his hand and she stopped. He listened, his ears sharp, the silence too perfect, the kind of silence that carried hidden danger. With a quick motion, he guided her inside the broken walls. They crouched behind rubble. Her heart pounded, she could barely breathe. Moments later, a sound filled the air. A low metallic whir, glowing drones floated overhead, scanning the ruins, their red eyes flashing like hunting predators. The woman covered her mouth to stop a scream, her whole body trembling. "The soldiers," hand pressed against her shoulder, firm and steady. "Do not move," he whispered, his voice like steel. She nodded, her tears burning her eyes. The drones hovered, light sweeping across the broken ground, then moved away, their sound fading. Into the distance, only when the silence returned did the soldier stand, his hand sliding back to his weapon. He turned to her, his face cold, unreadable. "You nearly gave us away," he said. Though she had not made a sound, her lips parted, confused. "I did not," she tried to say, but he cut her off. "Fear is loud, louder than words. They can sense it, control it." She lowered her head, ashamed, though she did not fully understand his meaning. They moved again, deeper into the ruins, until they found shelter in an underground passage. The man lit a small lamp, its dim glow spilling across the walls. The place smelled of rust and damp earth, but it was hidden, safe enough for now. He sat against the wall, silent, lost in thought. The woman sat at a distance, hugging her knees, still shaken by the drones. She wanted to thank him for saving her, but the words would not come. She only whispered, almost to herself, "Why did you let me stay?" His eyes lifted to her, dark and piercing. He said nothing for a long moment, then finally spoke. "Because I had no reason to leave you." His voice was calm, but his heart disagreed. He had many reasons to leave her, and only one reason to keep her. A reason he did not wish to face. He closed his eyes, memories flashing, the faces of comrades long gone, men and women who had fought and died. The last time he had trusted someone, it had ended in betrayal. He told himself trust was weakness, connection was danger. Yet here he was sharing shelter with a stranger. The woman looked at him carefully. She felt his distance, his walls still. There was a shadow of kindness, something he could not completely hide. She wanted to ask more, but fear held her tongue. The soldier leaned forward, his hands pressed together, his voice low. "You begged for life. You offered what no one should have to offer." His eyes hardened. "Do you know what that means? Do you understand what kind of world we live in?" She swallowed, her throat dry. "I only know I want to live," she whispered. Her words struck him like a blade, simple, honest, desperate. He turned away, his heart fighting itself. For the first time in years, he felt a spark of something dangerous. Hope, and hope was something he had sworn never to feel again. As the night deepened, the underground shelter wrapped them in silence. But silence did not bring peace. It brought thoughts, questions, fears. The soldier knew he had made a choice that would change his path. He could still send her away tomorrow, he told himself. But in his heart he knew the truth. He had already bound her fate to his, whether he admitted it or not. Outside, the sky rumbled with alien engines. The war was far from over, and their steps together had only just begun. The morning came slowly, though it did not look like morning anymore. The sky was gray, thick clouds hiding the sun, the air filled with smoke and dust. From the broken entrance of the underground passage, the woman peeked outside, her eyes wide at the silence of the ruins. The soldier stood near her, his weapon in hand, scanning the horizon, his expression heavy as if every shadow could be danger. She whispered softly, "Is it always like this?" He did not answer at first, his jaw tight, his eyes never leaving. "The streets." "Finally," he said. "This is the world now. No safe place. No mourning. Only survival." She looked down, hugging her arms, her body trembling at his words. Her mind went back to the past, to the days before the sky burned, before the ships came. She had been a child when the invasion began. She remembered the first night the stars fell, when the alien fire cut across the heavens. At first, people thought it was only war among nations, but soon they saw the truth. Enemies not of earth, but of the skies. She whispered again. "They took everything," her voice breaking. The soldier's eyes flickered. He had heard the same words from many, but each time they carried new pain. "Yes," he said, "they took the cities, the water, the skies, they took hope and left chains." Her lips trembled. "And women," she added quietly. The man's grip on his weapon tightened, his gaze darkened. "Yes," he said, his voice heavy. "The aliens want humans to carry their seed. They want a new race, a race of half-blood children controlled, loyal to them." He spat on the ground. "To them, we are only tools, not people." The woman shook her head, her eyes wet with tears. "That is why I begged you. I thought if I begged first, if I offered, maybe I would not be thrown away." Her words cut through the air like a blade. The soldier looked at her sharply, anger flashing in his eyes. "Never speak like that again," he said, his voice like thunder. She flinched, scared, but then she saw something in his face, not cruelty, but fury at the world, not at her. He turned away, staring at the ruins outside. "You are not property," he said, his voice lower now. "You are not their breeding vessel, not mine either." She blinked, surprised, her heart unsure if she could believe him. Silence filled the shelter for a long moment, broken only by the distant hum of alien machines. Then the soldier spoke again, his tone softer, almost like confession. "I was there at the fall of the northern wall when the last defense broke. I saw them take families, children, drag them into ships." His eyes closed for a moment, his jaw clenched. "I swore never to let them win, even if I stand alone." The woman stared at him, her fear mixing with curiosity. "Are you part of the resistance?" she asked, her voice trembling. His eyes met hers, sharp, unreadable. For a moment he did not answer. Then he said, "Maybe, maybe not, but I fight, and I survive. That is all." Her heart beat faster. Something about him felt larger than his words, as if he carried secrets deeper than he admitted. But before she could ask again, a sudden sound echoed outside, a crack of metal against stone. The soldier moved instantly, pulling her back from the entrance, pressing her against the wall, his finger to his lips. The sound grew closer, slow, heavy footsteps, the kind that did not belong to human feet. The woman's breath caught in her throat, her whole body frozen. The soldier's hand gripped his weapon, his eyes narrow, waiting. The footsteps stopped, the silence sharper than before, then a low growl filled the air, mechanical yet alive. An alien scout searching, sniffing the ruins for signs of life. The soldier leaned close to her ear, whispering, "Do not move. Do not even breathe." Her tears threatened to fall, but she held them back, her heart pounding so loud she feared the creature would hear it. For long minutes the sound of the alien lingered outside, scratching, sniffing, scanning. Then at last it moved away, its growl fading into the distance. Only then did the soldier release his breath, his grip on the weapon loosening. He glanced. At her she was pale, shaking, but alive. "You see now," he said, his voice calm but heavy. This is the world revealed. Every hour is death. Every corner is watched. She nodded, her tears falling silently. She finally understood the depth of his words. The soldier turned away, walking deeper into the shelter. He knew keeping her meant risk, but in his heart he also knew she was no ordinary survivor. The aliens had plans for women like her, but he had his own plan, a plan that could decide the future of humankind. The shelter was dark. Only the weak lamp lit the corners. The walls smelled of rust and damp. Drops of water fell slowly from the ceiling, echoing in the silence. The soldier sat with his back against the wall, his weapon resting across his knees, his eyes half closed, but never fully at peace. The woman sat on the other side, hugging herself for warmth, staring at the faint glow of the lamp as if it were the last star in the world. Hours passed. Neither spoke, yet the silence was heavy with unspoken thoughts. The woman wanted to ask who he was, what he had lost, why he had spared her, but fear tied her tongue. The soldier wanted to tell her to leave, to survive alone, yet each time he looked at her, he remembered her words. "I'll bear your offspring, just don't throw me out." Those words echoed in his mind, not as weakness, but as a mirror of what the world had become. A world broken enough to force such begging. Finally, she broke the silence, her voice small. "Do you have a name?" The soldier did not answer at once, his eyes watching her carefully. "A name will not keep." "You alive," he said, his voice hard. She lowered her gaze, hurt but whispered anyway. "My name is Alara." The soldier's eyes flickered, though his face stayed stern. He nodded slightly, almost against his will. "Call me Kale," he said at last. Alara repeated the name softly under her breath. Kale, a name strong yet heavy. For the first time, she felt he was not just a shadow, not just a weapon, but a man. Something in her chest eased, though the fear of him never fully left. That night they shared dry rations he had carried in his pack. The taste was bitter, but to Alara it felt like a feast. Kale ate little, always listening, always alert, his eyes sharp even in rest. Alara watched him, studying the scars across his arms, the roughness of his hands, the way his body never fully relaxed. She wondered what battles he had fought, what pain carved those scars into his skin. When she tried to sleep, nightmares woke her. She dreamed of alien hands dragging her, of cages filled with crying women, of red eyes watching in the dark. She gasped awake, her body shaking, tears on her face. Kale's voice came from the shadows, calm but firm. "Breathe slowly. You are safe here." She looked at him, his face half hidden in the dim glow, and for the first time she believed his words, even if only for a moment. Days passed in the bunker. Each day they ventured out for supplies, moving through ruins like ghosts. Sometimes they found old cans of food, sometimes nothing. Every sound in the streets reminded them death was near. Every shadow could hide a drone or a scout. Through it all, Kale moved like a hunter, precise, silent, guiding her with gestures, his hand steady on his weapon. Alara followed him closely, her trust in him slowly growing, though questions filled her mind. One night, when the wind outside howled through the ruins, Alara whispered, "Why do you fight, Kyle? Why not just obey them, survive quietly?" Kyle's eyes darkened, his voice low. "Because surviving under chains is not living." His words struck deep in her. She felt shame for her begging, for her fear. But he did not speak with judgment, only with truth. Yet even as trust began to grow, danger waited nearby. One evening, when Kale left to search a nearby building, Alara stayed behind in the bunker. She wandered deeper inside, her hands brushing the cold walls. In a hidden corner, she found a metal crate covered in cloth. Curiosity pulled her closer. When she opened it, her eyes widened. Inside were strange weapons, devices glowing faint, blue, and maps marked with alien symbols. Her breath caught, her heart raced. Kyle was not only a survivor, he was part of something larger, something secret. She touched one of the weapons, its surface warm, humming with quiet energy. nothing like human technology. Fear and awe filled her at the same time. Suddenly, Cale's voice cut through the silence, sharp as a blade. "Do not touch that." She turned, startled, the lamplight catching the anger in his eyes. He stepped forward, closing the crate with a heavy hand, his jaw tight. "Where did you find this?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "It does not matter," he said, his tone hard. "You should not have seen it." Her heart pounded, questions burning in her chest. "Are you resistance?" she asked, her voice barely steady. Cale did not answer, his eyes unreadable, but the silence itself was answer enough. She felt both fear and hope at once. Fear of what he was hiding. Hope that maybe he was more than just a soldier. He turned away, his voice low. "The less you know, the safer you are." But Alara could not forget what she had seen. The weapons, the maps, the secrets he carried. They were not just for survival. They were for war. That night, as Cale stood guard at the entrance, Alara lay awake, her mind racing. Her fear of him had changed into something more complicated. He was dangerous, yes, but he was also the only shield she had. And now she knew he was not just surviving. He was planning something far greater. The bond between them grew, but so did the danger. For trust was never safe in a world where every secret could mean life or death. And Alara had just stepped into Cale's most dangerous secret without knowing what it would cost her. The bunker was quiet, but Alara could not sleep. The glow of the small lamp flickered across the walls, shadows moving like silent ghosts. Cale sat near the entrance, his weapon across his lap, his eyes sharp, as if he never truly rested. Alara lay on the ground, her body still but her thoughts restless, her heart carrying the weight of what she had seen. The crate, the glowing weapons, the strange maps marked with alien symbols. It haunted her mind. Cale was more than he appeared. He was not only a lone soldier, he was something else, something hidden. And now she was caught in his secret, whether he liked it or not. She whispered softly into the silence. "Why do you hide these things, Kyle?" His head turned slightly, but his voice stayed cold. "Because knowledge is dangerous." Her lips trembled. "Dangerous for me? Or for you?" Kyle's eyes narrowed, shadows falling across his face. "For both," he said, his tone final. She closed her eyes, but sleep did not come. When dawn touched the ruins with gray light, Kyle rose. "Stay here," he ordered. "I will return soon." Before she could protest, he was gone, his figure vanishing into the mist of broken streets. Alara sat alone in the bunker, silence pressing heavy. Her mind burned with questions, fear mixing with curiosity. At last, unable to resist, she returned to the crate, her hands shaking as she lifted the cover. Inside, the weapons glowed faintly, humming with power, their shapes sharp, alien, yet somehow fitted for human hands. She touched one carefully, feeling a strange warmth pulse beneath her fingers like it was alive. Beside the weapons lay the maps, spread with markings in red and black. She traced the lines with her eyes, ruins of cities marked with symbols she did not understand. But one mark caught her attention, a circle drawn around a location not far from here with words scratched in Cale's handwriting. Key breeding site, destroy. Her breath caught, her blood ran cold. She stared at the words, her mind struggling. To understand destroy, Cale was not just fighting. He was planning to strike directly at the aliens, at the very places where they controlled human lives. The thought both terrified and amazed her. Her hands shook, the map slipping from her grasp. Suddenly she heard footsteps, strong and steady. Cale had returned. His eyes immediately fell on the open crate, his jaw tightened, his face a storm. "What did I tell you?" His voice thundered. "Never touch this." Alara flinched, tears burning in her eyes. "I had to know," she whispered. "I had to understand who you are." Cale stepped closer, his presence like iron, his eyes burning. "I am someone who fights, nothing more," he said. But his voice shook slightly, betraying the weight he carried. Alara stood her ground, though her legs trembled. You are more than that, Kyle. You plan to strike them, to destroy them. His silence was answer enough. At last he spoke, his tone softer, but filled with fire. Yes, he said. I am part of the resistance. I carry weapons they fear. Knowledge they try to erase. I carry hope even if it kills me. Alara gasped, the words echoing in her heart. Hope, a word almost forgotten in her world. But hope came with cost. Kale's gaze hardened. You should not be here, Alara. You were supposed to survive quietly, away from this war. Her tears fell, but her voice was steady. And yet I am here, and I cannot go back, even if I wanted to. He looked at her long and hard, his chest rising with heavy breath. Finally he turned away, gripping his weapon. Then you must know the truth. He opened another section of the crate, pulling out a small device, its surface glowing faint blue. This, he said, is not human. It is theirs. Stolen. It can destroy their control towers, but only if we reach the heart of their breeding site. Alara's eyes widened, her body shivering at his words. You plan to attack them, she whispered. But that place, it is full of soldiers, full of machines. You will die. Kale's voice was calm, cold, unshaken. Maybe, he said. But if we do nothing, all humans will die anyway, or worse, live as slaves. Alara covered her mouth, her tears flowing. She had begged for life only days ago, and now she stood before a man ready to throw his life into the fire for all humanity. For the first time she saw him not as only a soldier, but as a symbol, a man carrying the impossible weight of resistance, a man who still believed humanity could rise. Her heart shook, torn between fear and admiration. But then another thought struck her, cold and sharp. If Kale carried such secrets, if he planned such an attack, the aliens would hunt him endlessly, and if she stayed with him, they would hunt her too. The bunker grew quiet again, heavy with the truth revealed. Kyle turned away, closing the crate, his voice low. Now you know, Alara. Now you see the path I walk. It is not safe, it is not kind, but it is the only way. She swallowed hard, her tears still falling, her voice trembling as she whispered, Then let me walk with you. Kale froze, his heart heavy, his mind torn. This bond between them had grown stronger, but it was also dangerous. For in this broken world, love and trust were weapons, and weapons always came with blood. The night fell heavy. The ruins outside were drowned in shadows, and the bunker shivered under the weight of silence. Kale sat with his weapon ready, his eyes locked on the entrance, his body tense like a wolf sensing hunters. Alara stayed close, her heart beating fast. She could feel the air had changed. Danger was near, even if unseen. Kale whispered, They are coming. Alara's breath caught. How do you know? She asked softly. He tapped his ear. The hum of their engines too low for most, but I hear it. Her body shook, her fingers gripping the ground. What will we do? Kale's eyes burned with fire. We fight. Before she could speak again, the sound of machines echoed outside, heavy steps crushing stone, sharp growls mixed with metallic clicks. The bunker trembled, dust falling from the ceiling. Alara gasped, terror filling her chest. She pressed her back against the wall, wishing to vanish into the stone. Kale moved with calm strength, his weapon glowing faint blue, the stolen alien technology humming like a living beast. The entrance shattered with a deafening blast, metal claws tearing stone, red lights flooding the darkness. 3 alien scouts entered tall, their bodies armored with steel and flesh, their eyes glowing like fire. Alara screamed, covering her face. Kale stood tall, his weapon raised, his voice steady. Stay behind me! The first scout lunged, claws slashing, but Kyle fired. A bright burst cut through the air. The alien shrieked and fell. The second scout charged, its body crashing into rubble. Kale rolled aside, his weapon striking again, blue fire tearing through its chest. The third one moved faster, its claws reaching for Alara. She froze, fear chaining her body, but Kale slammed into the creature, driving his blade deep into its neck, sparks flying, blood hissing on the floor, the bunker filled with smoke and the stench of death. Alara trembled, tears running down her face. She crawled toward Cale. "Are you hurt?" His chest rose heavy, his eyes fierce, but he shook his head. "Not yet." But before relief could settle, Cale stiffened, his gaze sharp. "They will not stop," he said, his voice low. "Scouts only come first, hunters follow." Alara's body shook. "Then we must run." Cale's jaw tightened. "No, they will chase, they will never stop, unless—" His voice trailed. She stared at him, her voice weak. "Unless what?" His eyes locked on her, his expression unreadable. "Unless we reveal why they are chasing us." Her breath caught, her heart pounding. "Chasing us, or chasing you?" Kyle's silence was heavy until finally he spoke, his words like thunder. "They are chasing you, Alara." She froze, her world spinning. "Me," she whispered. "Why me?" Cale's eyes softened, though his voice remained firm. "Because you are not just a survivor, you are something more." Her tears fell, her lips trembling. "I don't understand." Cale stepped closer, his hand gentle on her shoulder, his voice low but burning with truth. "The aliens choose women for breeding, but not all. They search for bloodlines, genes, something rare, something hidden, and you carry it." Alara shook her head violently. No, I am nothing, just a girl who begged to live." Cale's grip tightened. "No, Alara, you are the key. Your offspring would not only be theirs, it could be ours, stronger, free, immune to their control." Her heart shattered under his words. She staggered back, her voice breaking. "You mean, that is why I am alive? That is why they want me?" Cale's eyes glowed with both pain and hope. "Yes, that is why I want you to stay alive, because you are not only life for yourself, you are life for all of us," Alara sobbed. Her hands, covering her face. "All this time I thought I was worthless. I thought survival was begging, offering. But now you say I am important." Kyle nodded slowly, his face grim. "Important enough for them to hunt, important enough for me to protect even with my last breath." The sound of engines roared again outside, louder, closer. Kyle pulled her up, his grip strong. "We cannot stay here, they will burn this bunker, we must move." Alara wiped her tears, her legs weak, but she forced herself to stand. She looked at Kyle, her voice shaking but strong. "If I am truly the key, then I will not hide, I will walk with you." Kyle's eyes softened for the first time, a flicker of warmth breaking through the soldier's mask. He whispered, "Then, remember this, Alara. No matter what happens, you must live, because in you lies the future." The bunker shook again, dust falling like rain. Cale gripped his weapon, Alara's hand held tight in his. The darkness outside was full of red eyes and growling machines. But within that darkness burned a new light, the truth revealed, the bond between them stronger than fear. And as they stepped out into the ruins, the world itself seemed to hold its breath. For the aliens were closing in. And the secret inside Alara was the twist that would change the war forever. The ruins shook as the hunters closed in, their engines roaring, their claws scraping against stone. The night was alive with red eyes glowing in the dark, shadows moving like beasts set free. Cale held Alara's hand tightly, his weapon ready, his breath calm but his heart racing. Alara's chest rose and fell quickly, fear tearing through her body, yet her eyes burned with a new fire. She knew she could not run from what she was anymore. Cale pulled her through the streets, moving fast, his eyes scanning every corner. The hunters were behind them, their growls sharp, their machines tearing apart what little remained of the city. Each step echoed with danger, each breath carried the weight of death. But Cale did not stop. He led her toward the circle on the map, the place he had marked, the breeding site. Alara gasped between breaths. "Why are we going there? It's too dangerous." Kyle's voice was firm, unshaken. "Because if they are already hunting us, there is no more hiding, only striking." She stumbled, but he caught her, pulling her back to her feet. Her heart screamed for rest, but she kept running because she trusted his strength more than her fear. Soon they reached the edge of the city, where the broken ruins gave way to tall black towers. alien structures twisting into the sky, glowing with red and blue veins of light. The air itself vibrated, humming with strange energy. Alara's stomach twisted, dread filling her chest. "This place," she whispered, "it feels alive." Kale's grip tightened. Because it is. Their towers breathe, their machines feed on the earth itself, and somewhere inside, they keep the seed of their empire. Before they could move, closer, the ground shook. A massive figure stepped from the shadows. It was no scout, no hunter, but a commander, towering, its body covered in armor, its claws glowing with fire, its voice a growl that rattled the air. Kale pushed Alara behind him, raising his weapon. The commander's red eyes locked on Alara, ignoring Kale completely, its voice booming. "Give her to us. She is ours, Alara's." Body froze, her hands shaking. Kale's voice thundered back. "She is not yours, she never will be." The alien roared, the ground shaking under its fury. Behind it, more hunters gathered, their eyes fixed on the two humans, their claws clicking. Against stone like drums of war, Kale's weapon flared, the blue light cutting through the dark, the first shot striking a hunter and tearing it apart. The others lunged forward, the night exploding in chaos. Kale fought like fire itself, his blade slashing, his weapon burning, his body moving with deadly precision. Alara stood against the wall of ruins, her heart pounding, watching as Kale fought for both of them, his body a shield, his spirit unbroken. But the commander was stronger, faster. Each strike of its claws shook the ground. Kale met it head-on, their clash sending sparks into the night. He gritted his teeth, forcing his body forward, each movement tearing at his strength. The alien growled, pushing him back step by step, its voice echoing. "You cannot protect her, she belongs to us," Alara screamed, her voice cutting through the roar of battle. "No, I am not yours." Something inside her awakened, a surge of heat rushing through her chest, her body trembling with strange power. Her eyes widened as a faint light spread through her veins, glowing under her skin. The commander froze for a moment, its eyes narrowing. "It begins," it hissed. Kale turned, his eyes widening as he saw the glow inside her. "Alara," he shouted, "listen to me. Do not fight it. Let it flow. It is yours." Tears streamed down her face, her body shaking. "What is happening to me?" Kale's voice was fierce, desperate. "The truth, Alara. You are the bridge. You carry the future in your blood. The one thing they fear, and the one thing we need." The hunters paused, their eyes fixed on her. The commander lowered its claws slowly, as if in awe. "Bring her alive," it ordered, its voice sharp. "She is the seed of war." Alara's scream pierced the night, the light in her body bursting brighter, pushing back the hunters for a moment. Kyle grabbed her hand, pulling her close, his voice rough but steady. "Stay with me, no matter what happens. Stay with me." The ground cracked, towers glowing brighter, the air itself trembling. The commander roared, the hunters lunged forward again. Kale raised his weapon, Alara's body glowing like a star. The clash of light and darkness filled the ruins, and then silence. The scene faded into blackness, the sound of Alara's sobs echoing in the dark. Kale's voice whispering one last time, "This is only the beginning."